It was one of those mornings where everything felt too quiet. You know the type, birds chirping, sun shining. A bit too good to be true. Joel Walker, a 38-year-old black man with a jawline sharp enough to cut through BS, was sipping his coffee on the porch of his well-kept house in Tennessee. His pride and joy wasn't just the house, it was the land it stood on. Joel had worked his ass off to own this little slice of peace in a chaotic world. As Joel leaned back in his chair, savoring the calm, he heard it. A gut punch of a sound. It started with the groan of a rusty engine, followed by the unmistakable clank of metal. Joel frowned. The noise was coming from his yard. "The hell is that?" Joel muttered, setting his coffee down. He walked down the steps and froze halfway across the lawn. Two white cops in full uniform were standing next to a massive truck, unloading what looked like a giant billboard. One of them, a beefy guy with a receding hairline and a smirk that screamed entitlement, was barking orders at the other. They were digging a hole on his land. Joel blinked, half hoping he was hallucinating. Nope. These fools were dead serious. "Yo, excuse me," Joel shouted, striding toward them. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" The beefy cop, his badge red Maxwell, turned to Joel with a smile so fake it belonged in a dollar store. "Good morning, sir," Maxwell said like he wasn't currently committing a crime. "City business. We're putting up a sign." Joel narrowed his eyes. "On my property?" Maxwell gave a shrug so lazy it could have taken a nap. "The city approved it. Not my call, buddy." "Buddy!" Joel's voice dropped an octave. "I'm not your buddy, and this isn't the city's land. It's mine. You see this fence? You see my name on the deed? You got a permit?" Maxwell chuckled, but it wasn't a friendly laugh. More like the kind of laugh you hear right before someone screws you over. "Sir," Maxwell said, his tone dripping with condescension, "I don't need to explain this to you. Just step back and let us do our job." Joel could feel his blood pressure climbing. "Your job? Your job is to serve and protect, not plant a damn billboard in my yard without permission." The younger cop, a wiry guy with nervous energy, muttered something to Maxwell. Joel caught the words, "He's filming us," just as Maxwell turned back, his smirk replaced by a glare. Joel had, in fact, pulled out his phone and started recording. Because if there's one thing every black man in America knows, it's this. Get it on camera, or it didn't happen. "Sir, put the phone down," Maxwell snapped. Joel snorted. "Yeah, that's not happening. What's the matter? Don't want your little stunt going viral?" Maxwell stepped closer, invading Joel's personal space. "You're interfering with city operations." Joel didn't back down. "And you're trespassing. What's next? You gonna arrest me for standing on my own damn lawn?" The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Joel's neighbors had started peeking out their windows, and a few even stepped outside to watch the drama unfold. Joel could hear someone whisper, "What are they doing to Joel now?" "Listen, man," Maxwell said, his tone sliding into barely veiled aggression. "You can either let us do our job, or we'll have to call this in. Your choice." Joel laughed, a short, bitter sound. "You're threatening me on my own property. That's rich. But you know what? Go ahead. Call whoever you need. Just know I'm not backing down." Maxwell stared at Joel for a long moment, his jaw tightening. Then, with a sharp gesture, he ordered the younger cop to keep digging. The truck's engine roared back to life, and the sound of metal slamming into earth filled the air. Joel clenched his fists, his mind racing. This wasn't just about a stupid billboard. This was about respect, or the lack of it. They thought they could bully him, but Joel wasn't the type to roll over. Not for anyone. As the cops continued their illegal operation, Joel did what any man in his position would do. He took to social media. His caption was simple, but effective. "When cops think they can do whatever the hell they want, watch this." Within minutes, his phone started blowing up with likes, comments, and shares. The video was gaining traction faster than he could refresh the page. And Joel knew one thing for sure. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. By the time the sun hit high noon, Joel's yard was a full-blown circus. The billboard, now halfway planted into the ground, stood like an ugly monument to everything Joel despised about unchecked power. The two cops were still at it, digging and hammering away like they were putting up a statue of themselves. Joel leaned against his porch railing, arms crossed, phone in hand. His social media post was on fire, with comments pouring in faster than a summer storm. Messages ranged from "This is outrageous" to "Take them down, Joel." It was clear people were ready to rally behind him. But the cops? They were acting like they couldn't care less. Maxwell, the beefy cop who clearly thought he owned the world, wiped sweat from his brow and shot Joel a glance. "Still recording, huh? You know that's not going to help you, right?" Joel raised an eyebrow, not bothering to hide his smirk. "Oh, it's helping just fine. See, my followers love a good David and Goliath story. Guess which one you are?" Maxwell scowled. You're real cute, you know that? Real cute. Joel chuckled dryly. And you're real dumb if you think this ends with you walking away clean. Keep digging, officer. The younger cop, who Joel had nicknamed Skittish Steve in his head, looked like he wanted to disappear. Every few minutes he glanced at Joel's phone, his jaw tightening. Maxwell, on the other hand, was all bravado, clearly trying to intimidate Joel with his size and his badge. Spoiler alert, it wasn't working. A small crowd of neighbors had started to gather, some recording, others just watching with folded arms and disapproving glares. Mrs. Jackson, the retired school teacher from across the street, shook her head so hard her wide-brimmed hat nearly flew off. "This is disgraceful," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "They think they can just walk all over us." Joel gave her a quick nod of thanks. "You'd think they'd have better things to do than plant signs in people's yards. But hey, gotta keep busy, right?" Another neighbor, a middle-aged guy named Ron, who always wore Hawaiian shirts no matter the season, chimed in. "You need me to get my lawyer, Joel? This is straight-up trespassing." Joel waved him off. "Already handled, but thanks for the offer. Just keep filming. The more eyes on this, the better." Maxwell, clearly annoyed by the growing audience, barked at the younger cop. "Hurry it up. We're not going to stand around all day." The younger cop hesitated, his shovel pausing midair. Sir, I think we should maybe, reconsider? This isn't looking good." Maxwell spun on him like a viper. "Reconsider? You want to call this in and tell the chief we chickened out because some guy with a camera made us nervous?" The younger cop shut his mouth, his face pale. Joel almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Joel stepped closer, phone still aimed squarely at the action. "You know what's funny? You're working so hard to plant that eyesore, but I bet neither of you checked what's under this land. That's a big risk you're taking. Hope you've got good insurance," Maxwell sneered. "What the hell are you talking about?" Joel gave him a mock innocent shrug. "Oh, nothing. Just that this area's got some old water mains running underground. Real fragile, but hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy standing on his own property." Maxwell hesitated for a half a second, just long enough for Joel to notice. Then with a scoff, he turned back to the younger cop. "Keep digging, he's bluffing." Joel's smirk widened. Bluffing? They were about to find out just how wrong he was. A few minutes later, the sound came. A sharp, metallic groan, followed by a low rumble that made the ground tremble. Joel's neighbors stepped back, their murmurs rising to shouts of alarm. The younger cop froze mid-dig, his face a mask of panic. Sir?" he stammered. "I think we hit something." Maxwell turned just in time to see it. A geyser of water shooting up from the ground like a damn fountain at Disneyland. Mud sprayed everywhere, soaking the cops and the half-buried billboard in a mess of brown sludge. The younger cop dropped his shovel and stumbled back, looking like he'd just seen a ghost. Maxwell, now drenched and covered in mud, let out a string of curses that would have made a sailor blush. Joel, meanwhile, was doubled over with laughter. "Oh, this is rich," Joel wheezed, his phone still recording. "Y'all came here to plant a sign and ended up creating a water park. Nice work, officers." Maxwell stormed toward Joel, mud dripping from his uniform. "You think this is funny, huh?" Joel straightened up, still grinning. "Funny? Dude, this is the best entertainment I've had all week. And the best part, it's all on camera." The younger cop, clearly done with this whole ordeal, muttered, "We should call the city maintenance crew, sir." Maxwell shot him a death glare. "You think I don't know that?" Joel clapped his hands. "Oh, please do call them. I can't wait to hear you explain how you broke a water main while trespassing on private property." Maxwell pointed a muddy finger at Joel. "Don't push your luck." Joel raised his hands in mock surrender. "Oh, I'm not pushing anything. You dug your own hole, literally." As the water continued to gush, the crowd of neighbors burst into applause and laughter. Someone shouted, "You better get out of here before you drown." Maxwell, now thoroughly humiliated, barked at the younger cop to grab their tools. They retreated to their truck, leaving the flooded yard and the half-erected billboard behind. Joel watched them drive off, shaking his head in disbelief. "And they say cops are supposed to protect and serve. Guess they missed the memo." The crowd began to disperse, but Joel knew this wasn't the end. Not by a long shot. The video he'd just captured? That was going to blow up faster than the water main. And Joel was ready for round 3. By the next morning, Joel's video had exploded online. It wasn't just his neighbors talking now. Reporters, activists, and even a local TV station were knocking on his door. Joel barely had time to finish his coffee before his phone buzzed with a message from his lawyer. "We've got them. Let's make this official." The cops, however, were doubling down. Sergeant Maxwell, now the internet's least favorite officer, started spreading rumors about Joel. Apparently, Joel was a known troublemaker with a record that didn't exist. "Dude, this is amateur hour," Joel muttered, scrolling through the accusations online. "You'd think they'd at least try harder." That afternoon, Maxwell and his team rolled back into the neighborhood, but this time they weren't digging. They were snooping. They parked across the street, pretending to patrol, but it was obvious they were watching Joel's house. Joel stepped outside, phone in hand, and gave them a mock salute. "You lose something, officers? Maybe your dignity?" Maxwell didn't respond, but Joel could see the steam practically shooting out of his ears. Meanwhile, neighbors started snapping photos and recording the scene, turning Maxwell's intimidation tactics into even more evidence. Then came the real bombshell. A whistleblower from the department leaked documents proving Maxwell had faked the permit for the Billboard. Turns out this wasn't his first rodeo. He'd pulled similar stunts in other neighborhoods, always targeting black homeowners. Joel's lawyer called him that evening, her tone practically gleeful. "They're done, Joel. This is going to court and we're taking them down." Joel leaned back in his chair, a slow smile spreading across his face. "Let's make it a show." The courtroom buzzed with anticipation as Joel took the stand. His testimony was compelling, painting a vivid picture of the harassment he endured. The defense squirmed, knowing their goose was cooked. Sergeant Maxwell, once smug, now looked like a deer in headlights. The evidence was stacked against him, and he knew it. The jury didn't buy his lame excuses for a second. When the verdict was read, guilty on all counts, the courtroom erupted. Joel felt a weight lift off his shoulders. Justice had been served, and the message was clear. Abuse of power wouldn't fly. Outside, supporters cheered. Joel addressed the crowd, his voice steady. "This isn't just my victory," he declared. "It's a win for everyone who's been pushed around. We stood up, fought back, and came out on top." As the sun set, Joel knew this chapter was over, but the fight for equality marched on. He was ready to keep pushing, knowing that change was possible, one battle at a time.